Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to our Lunch Bites webinar series, which is held at noon Central Time on the second Tuesday of every month. Our series is dedicated to a variety of farm-to-school topics, but each webinar is only 20 minutes long, followed by a short Q&A session. Feel free to ask questions as you think of them during today's webinar by typing them into the question window on your webinar control panel. If you have suggestions for topics or speakers you'd like the series to cover, please send an email to Chelsea Simpson, that's me, at chelsea@farmtoschool.org. Today's webinar is being recorded, and a variety of resources, including the slides and the webinar recording and some other fact sheets that we'll reference today, will be available on our website, farmtoschool.org, at a later date, probably in about a week, and you'll get an email about it since you registered for the webinar today. Our panelists today are Chelsea Simpson, that's myself. I am the Membership and Communications Associate for the National Farm to School Network. We also have Hope Wilson with us today. She's the Program Manager for the National Farm to School Network, and Eleanor Starmer, Special Assistant at USDA and Coordinator for the Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food initiative. Of course, today's webinar topic is 12,000 schools, numbers and research that support farm to school success. Today is also National Farm to School Month. Actually, all month is National Farm to School Month. And today, our theme of the day is Farm to School in all 50 states, which really relates closely with what we're talking about in the webinar, and Eleanor is going to tell you a little bit more about that since they're today's theme of the day partner. National Farm to School Month was started in 2010 with a resolution that was passed by Congress, and this is actually the second year that we've celebrated National Farm to School Month. The National Farm to School Network took a lead in developing resources for the first Farm to School Month in 2011 and launched farmtoschoolmonth.org, which you can see a preview of right here. So if you go to farmtoschoolmonth.org, this is what you'll see, and you can see links to our various resources on our blog. We get information at the national staff and regional lead agency level from our members and our 50-state leads. We're very excited that Farm to School is happening in all 50 states and that we have on-the-ground representatives who help us complete our work there. And on the national level, we pass on information to our national policymakers, national media, and national partners. So we do things like organizing Farm to School Month. That's a great example, actually, of the work that we do on the national level with the help of the support from everyone else that we work with. Here's a map showing our 8 regions. And like I said, each state actually has representatives as well. So with that little introduction to who we are and what we're doing, and especially what's going on this month for Farm to School Month, I'm going to give the control over to Hope Wilson to tell you a little bit more.
Thank you, Chelsea. As Chelsea mentioned, the Farm to School program started from, when we have the most recent data, started from a handful in the late 90s to we have now over almost 12,500 programs today. We have that number from a most recent snapshot survey that was conducted in April of 2012. It was conducted because I know that we may often hear how many farm to school programs are there, how many school garden programs are there in our state or in our in the country, and there isn't, at the time, wasn't a lot of information that's gathering that on a regular basis. So in April 2012, the National Farm to School Network launched the Farm to School Snapshot Survey, which looked at the 2011-2012 school year to understand what is the current scope of farm to school activities across the country. So,
Hope, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm having several attendees telling me that they're on the line that they're not hearing.
Oh.
Sorry, so I'm going to interrupt you here.
Okay.
I don't know why for all attendees or only for a handful of folks, but at any rate, I had enough questions about it that I think we're going to just briefly restart the webinar. And okay, somebody's telling me they can hear me now, so I'm going to hope it's for my. And for those of you who weren't hearing, we'll just briefly start over. So this is Chelsea Simpson with the National Farm to School Network, and today's webinar is 12,000 schools, numbers and research that support farm to school success. So I'd like to welcome you to our Lunch Bites webinar series, which happens at noon Central Time on the second Tuesday of every month. Our webinar series covers a variety of farm to school topics. The presentations are always just 20 minutes long, followed by a Q&A session. Feel free to ask questions during the call today by typing them into the question window on your control panel. If you have suggestions for other webinar topics, you can email me at chelsea@farmtoschool.org. Today's webinar, we have 3 panelists. I'm the Communications Associate for National Farm to School Network. We also have Hope Wilson, who's the Program Manager for the National Farm to School Network. Network Farmer, a Special Assistant at USDA Coordinator. Webinar out today by telling you just a little bit about National Farm to School Network and about National Farm to School Month, which is taking place all month long during October, and we're really excited. We're doing Farm to School Month every week during October. Today's theme is actually Farm to School in all 50 states, which we're doing in partnership with USDA Farm to School. Today's webinar, of course, talk about the growth in the Farm to School movement. The National Farm to School Here's a quick preview of our website. I encourage you all to visit it after the webinar today and check out our resources. This screenshot actually wasn't taken today, so if you visit today, on the right hand where you see the Theme of the Day button, you can you'll see today that it says Theme of the Day, Farm to School across the country, and you'll see our more recent blog post as well. You'll also find a variety of resources on our website, everything from downloadable logos you can use to a communications toolkit, posters. Even though we're into October, it's definitely not too late to celebrate Farm to School Month. If you're involved in a Farm to School program, I'd encourage you to take our Farm to School Counts pledge by clicking the button on the right that says Stand Up and Be Counted, or using the Farm to School Counts initiative to gather information about farm-to-school programs that are happening across the country by asking programs to pledge how much activity they're going to be doing during October. And we're giving away 3 $500 cash prizes, which we're really excited about. They're a random drawing at the end of that initiative. We also have an events map, so if you're looking for a farm-to-school activity happening somewhere near you, click on the events tab, and there are over 100 events entered already. If your event is not on the map, please let us know and submit it. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the National Farm-to-School Network. The National Farm-to-School Network was founded in 2007, and it was sprouted from the desire to support community-based food systems, strengthen family farms, and improve student health. The National Farm-to-School Network was launched by a collaborative of more than 30 organizations seeking to shape the growing farm-to-school movement, which has grown from a handful of schools in the late 90s to more than 12,500 schools in all 50 states today. The collaborative nature of our network is a very important aspect. This graphic shows sort of basically how the Farm-to-School Network is structured. We have national staff, as represented by Hope and I on the call today. We have 8 regional lead agencies, 50 state leads, and over 8,000 network members. We're really excited that we have Farm-to-School happening in all 50 states and representatives there to help support the work. But we also do a lot to support them. As you can see, the arrows going both ways. It's definitely an interactive and collaborative organization. Here you can see our organizational map. The different colors represent our 8 regions. And you can find this map on our website as well as contact information for those 8 regional lead agencies and all 50 state leads. To tell you a little bit more about Farm-to-School taking place in all 50 states and some of the growth in the movement, I'm going to pass it over to Hope Wilson.
Thank you, Chelsea. So as we've talked about, there's been a lot of growth with Farm-to-School over the past 20 years. From a handful of programs in 1997, we have the most recent information that there's over 12,500 schools participating in Farm-to-School now. In the 2011-2012 school year, the National Farm-to-School Network conducted the Farm-to-School Snapshot Survey, where we were trying to understand the current scope of Farm-to-School across the country. And through that survey, we looked at activities, not only just looking at the offering of local food products and school meals, but also how local products are featured in classroom, conducted educational activities related to local foods, and planted school gardens. So it's the comprehensive approach to farm-to-school. I'm sorry, I'm having some, okay. So it was a 9-question survey that was conducted using SurveyMonkey. We targeted, as Chelsea said, we have a state lead in each of the 50 states, so collected the information utilizing our state leads. The information we have right now is our estimates based upon the information that our state leads had at the time, and the final analysis that I'm going to be showing you included the 41 surveys from 41 states. Whoops. So the national totals we have are 2,238 school districts, almost 12,500 schools, and reaching over almost 6 million students. And we also have an estimate that almost $13 million was spent on local food through farm-to-school programs. The top 5 purchases being apples, tomatoes, melons, lettuce, greens, and potatoes. Some other information we asked were the types of structures that they have at the state level. 63% of the states that responded stated that they have a listing of school districts and schools that conduct farm-to-school activities. 68% said that they have state-level policies that support farm-to-school. And 62% of the states that responded said that they have a farm-to-school coordinator position at a state agency. We also looked, as I said, that it was a comprehensive approach to farm-to-school at the activities that we were doing. 100% of those that responded said that they were had school gardens and also conducted educational activities. 92% of those schools stated that they were procuring local foods, and 85% they were participating in farm to school promotions and events. I mean, 84% said that they were conducting farm to school promotions and events. In addition to, they also looked at the number of farmers in each state that supplied local foods, and most states had over 20 farmers that were supplying local foods to schools within those states. And you'll see we have a lesser number, 16% who had 11 to 20 farmers within the state that were supplying food to local schools, and 13% that had 6 to 10 farmers throughout the state. In addition to this survey, this year also Farm to Preschool, which we had an emerging amount of information, has also conducted a survey, not necessarily on the numbers, but the activities that are composed in farm to preschool programs. And next month they'll be presenting about farm to preschool on the November's Lunch Bites webinar. And then, as we've also seen the emerging numbers of farm to school programs, we've also seen the growing evidence to support farm to school. And some of those things have been recommended as evidence-based strategies through national agencies and national reports. The White House Task Force for Childhood Obesity Prevention mentions farm to school as a strategy. What Works for Health, the County Health Ranking and Roadmaps from Robert Wood Johnson Foundation also listed farm to school and school fruit and vegetable gardens having as healthy eating strategies with an evidence base. And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention also lists farm to school as a community obesity prevention strategy. Over the years that we've seen the growing number of farm to school programs, also we've seen an increasing amount of information and research on the benefits of farm to school. Some of the things that have emerged with an evidence base include student health and achievement, so seeing improvements in student health and achievement, improvements and support for food service costs and revenue, support for farmer incomes and markets, teacher and staff interests and attitudes about farm to school and healthy lifestyles, improving community awareness about farm to school and healthy eating, support for local economies and jobs, and parent interest and ability in providing healthy foods for children, such as improved shopping habits. I'm going to briefly go through these slides. The summary of the snapshot survey and the farm to school benefits fact sheets will be available on our website soon, but also these slides will be available on the Lunch Bites webinar archive as well. So I'm just going to briefly go through the details for each of these bullets. One of the things that has been noted is that the improvements to students' behavior primarily has increased incrementally with the more years of applied farm to school programming. So it indicates that while changes may be gradual, they are sustainable and have a positive impact to student health over a long term. So we see things like improved, increasing consumption of fruit and vegetables, more increase in choosing fruits and vegetables, and willingness to try new fruits and vegetables. Programs like school gardens have also showed enhancements to overall academic achievement, and we also see improvements such as life skills, self-esteem, social skills, and behavior. We also see improvements with food service programs. There's often an increase in school meal participation, which also leads to generating revenues through the increased meal participation. Operations will be serving more fruits and vegetables, more new seasonal recipes, and changes in the way that cafeteria waste is managed. We also see improvements to food service staff morale and interest in food preparation. With farmers, we see an average increase of average 5% increase in income due to farm to school sales in individual farmers, an increase in market diversification, and an increased opportunity to explore new markets and processing and preservation methods. Within the community, we'll see an increased awareness about local foods, purchasing local foods and interest and aware about local foods, but also, as exemplified in a study in Oregon of a health impact assessment, that there's, by providing funding at the state to support farm-to-school programs, they saw strengthened connections in the state's food economy and improved household food security, and creating and maintaining more jobs. For each job that was created through the additional school purchasing local foods, they saw another 1.7 jobs created as a result. In teachers, we also see a positive change in their diets and lifestyles and a positive attitude to integrating farm to school throughout the curriculum. Parents also have an increased interest in incorporating healthier foods in their family's diets and helping children make healthier choices. So seeing things like positive changes in shopping patterns and reflecting healthy and local foods. These are the references of the literature that was used to develop this summary of the benefits of farm to school. And as I stated, this information will also be available as an archive. And there's still emerging research out there. More and more information about farm to preschool is being gathered. So maybe you can hear more information about that next month on the call. Thank you.
Thanks, Hope. Turn the webinar over now to Eleanor's. There you go, Eleanor. You should have mouse control.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Eleanor Starmer, and I work with the U.S. Department of Agriculture to coordinate the Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food initiative. And I'm just going to very briefly talk about the initiative and specifically about a tool that we've developed earlier this year and are expanding today and tomorrow, actually, which will hopefully be of great help to all of you in your work on Farm to School. So the Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food initiative was started here at the department in 2009, and it was really started as a way to publicize some of the resources that we have at USDA for local and regional food systems, obviously including Farm to School. It's a way for us to coordinate across different agencies here within USDA. We have about 17 agencies, and most of them work on something that is related to local and regional food. So this was a way to strengthen and streamline the work that we're doing as a department on this issue and to highlight what we have in the way of resources for all of you. This slide shows the homepage of our website, which is usda.gov/knowyourfarmer. And I specifically wanted to focus, if you look at the left-hand navigation bar, you'll see a grants, loans, and support page, as well as a tools and resources page. And this, I think, will be is one place to start. We developed the grants, loans, and support page as kind of a one-stop shop for folks who are interested in finding out what USDA is doing around local and regional food systems. So each of these links, and it extends down the page beyond where you can see on the slide, each of the links will take you to a very clear and concise description of this particular grant or loan program, how it's being used for local and regional food systems development, and a link to the place on our website where you can find more information about how to apply for that support. So it's a way to navigate our website, which is large, and I find it intimidating, but this is a great place to start. But we didn't really want to stop there. We wanted to really go out and find more information about who was using federal resources to do local and regional food work and put some faces on that in order to tell the stories of some of the really innovative leaders in this field. So in February, we launched something that we're calling the Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food Compass. And it is an interactive guide and map, and I'll talk about the map more in a second. But this is the cover of our guide. It's all electronic. It's on the website, listed here. And it has chapters on a whole bunch of different themes. And here I've shown also the page for the Farm to Institution chapter. Each chapter runs through the USDA resources available to support this kind of work It talks about other resources that we've found online and in our own archives that are particularly helpful. And it tells stories, it shows photos, there's links to videos. It's a very interactive and sort of multimedia presentation about how these resources are being put to work to do really great work around farm to institution. The next piece of this, this tool, and let's see, Chelsea, if you could just advance the slide for me, I'm having trouble. Thank you, is a map that we developed as well. And what we tried to do when we initially put this map together was to compile all of the data that we could find on grants and loans that we've given over the last few years related to local and regional food systems and map them. So this map has then been expanded. In addition to USDA projects, it was expanded in July to include things like farmers markets and food hubs and a whole bunch of other data that we gather here at the department, local meat processing infrastructure, as well as some data on nutrition programs at farmers markets, to make it more of a comprehensive view of federal support here at USDA. What the very exciting update is that tomorrow we will be adding to the map projects that have been supported by 10 different federal agencies other than USDA. So many people come to us as kind of the first stop when they're interested in support for farm-to-school programs, but in terms of federal grant funds. But there are, we discovered, a whole bunch of other programs run by different federal agencies that are also available to support this work. So starting tomorrow, that will also be depicted on the map. Chelsea, can you give me the next slide? Thank you. So when you click on any dot on the map, it will pop up with a pop-up box, and it will give you information on the project that was funded, the year, how much money it was, what that grant was, which program that grant came through, and which part of USDA or which other federal agency supported it. There's also a more information field, and that link will take you directly to the recipient of this grant so that you can learn a little bit more about what they're doing. The intent here is to really help people see what is going on around the country on farm to school and other issues related to local foods, and then to connect with some of the groups or individuals that are doing this work to learn more about how they're doing it and about some of the innovative efforts that are taking place around the country. If you're interested, for example, in searching just for farm to school projects, at the top of the map there is a search box. You can search by projects, and then in the text box put farm to school. Click on search, and it will highlight all of the projects on the map that are related to farm to school. And you can look through them and get a real good sense of the kinds of grant and loan programs out there from the federal government available to support this work. I tried to count them before we joined the webinar today, and I stopped at about 200. So this is not a comprehensive list of all of the farm to school programs in the country. It's just the ones that have received support from USDA or our federal partners. But it's a great place to start, and if you're beginning to think about looking for funding, it's a great way to find out what's there. Next slide. And you can just, if you hit forward, it should put the rest of the text on this slide as well. So in closing, I would love your help in getting the word out about this resource, because we were very excited to present it, and now we want people to use it. If you're new to Farm to School and want to learn a little bit more about it, the Farm to Institution chapter in our Compass Guide is a great place to start learning about the issue and what folks are doing, and then to look at the map and just get a better sense as well there. If you're already working on Farm to School, then I encourage you to look at the different programs that are being used to support it and find out how you can apply for them. Direct others to these programs. Please feel free. We would love it if you would mention the Compass as a resource when you're talking to others or doing workshops. And the map can be a really great tool as well to kind of navigate around the country or around your own region and show what's going on. So please share these resources with your colleagues, tell your partner organizations. If you're interested in finding out more, you can connect with your local USDA offices. And do please let me know if you want PowerPoint slides or any other outreach tools in order to get the word out, because we've built the Compass, and we would love for people to come and use it, find out more about our resources, and put them to work. Thanks, Chelsea. And this is our website and email address to get more information.
Thanks so much, Eleanor. That was a great presentation, and I'll just leave this slide up for a moment so everyone can write down that information if they're interested. Like I said at the beginning of the webinar, these slides and other resources related to the presentation will be available on our website in about a week, and we'll send out an email when they're up there, and a recorded version of this webinar will be there as well that you can watch online. But at this time, I'd love to take questions. If you have a question for any of our panelists today, please just type it into the questions area on your control panel. We do have one question already, and hope this might be for you. Someone's wanting to know if any states have undertaken an assessment of their school garden education curriculum or school garden education programming. Are you aware of any assessment studies out there?
Studies where the state is assessing the overall curriculum? Is that
that's what I'm guessing. The question isn't super specific. So I would say just in general assessments of, I would say probably this person means the effectiveness of education programs related to school gardens.
Well, there's a number of studies out there about nutrition education in school gardens. So we've seen a lot of that, and there's a lot of evidence that supports that nutrition education in gardens really contributes to increased consumption of fruits and vegetables. That's where most of the research lies at this point. In terms of support for education, there are a few studies out there. In terms of state programming, I'm not aware of any at this time that I could say in terms of states doing research on that. California has quite a bit of work that UC Davis is doing. And I know that their Department of Education is doing a lot of work with school gardens and farm to school. Primarily, the Department of Education is looking at nutrition, though.
Okay, great. I see a couple comments coming in. As far as the kind of a follow-up question, as far as a total assessment of the number of school gardens or the number of school gardens in a state, I'm not sure if anyone has I know that we as a network don't have an accurate number of how many school gardens there are in the country totally, and I'm not sure if there are any states that have done a really comprehensive study of the number of school gardens.
A number of states have done a survey or to do an inventory of the number of school gardens. It's one of the issues with measuring farm to school and school garden programs is that it changes a lot because of changeover in personnel or teachers, especially with gardens, how those gardens are maintained. So finding a number that isn't so dynamic is difficult. But there are a number of states that have conducted those inventories. Part of the information from the snapshot survey also looked at gardens. There's a number of other programs out there that are trying to measure the number of gardens. The Edible Schoolyard Project is one of them. There's a number of people right now trying to get that number, and it's a difficult number to measure.
That's great. Thanks, Hope. I have another garden-related question. Somebody's just wondering if we offer resources or support on developing a school garden. And I'll say that yes, the National Farm to School Network actually has a lot of resources on a variety of topics, including some tips on starting a school garden. If you visit our website, which is farmtoschool.org, and go to our resources page, but also feel free to email me, chelsea@farmtoschool.org, and I can send you a fact sheet. Also keep an eye out on our Theme of the Day content throughout Farm to School Month on farmtoschoolmonth.org. I know one of our Theme of the Day partners coming up in another week or so is the National Gardening Association, and they have some resources for us about starting school gardens and school gardens in general. So keep an eye on that or seek out their website. I have another question here. Somebody's wanting to know how they can find out which states did not participate in the survey that you referenced in your presentation. Hope.
We will have that information on the fact sheet when it comes out. I don't have the list of states in front of me, But there were 41 states that we have data from, so there's 9 that will be missing from the data that we have.
That's great. And I have a quick comment here that the USDA regarding a survey of school gardens and other farm-to-school information, that the USDA's farm-to-school census, which should be distributed to every school district in the country in spring 2013, will include questions about school gardens. So I think it's just good to know that there are ongoing efforts to get some good numbers in that area. And another comment that New Jersey is one of the states currently undergoing a mapping program of farm-to-school programs and gardens, or maybe just gardens. So a couple comments there from our attendees. And let's see here. And another comment that Ohio has a similar program there. Here's a question for you, Eleanor. What is the scope of the meat infrastructure tab on your compass? Are these meat processing locations?
Yeah, that's a good question. It is meat processing locations that we inspect, so it is all federally inspected meat processors regardless of their size. So the vast majority of meat processing facilities in the U.S. are small or very small, and primarily those are going to be serving local and regional markets. There are about 150 large, very large processing facilities, and those are also on our map because we couldn't say for certain that they weren't serving local markets, but primarily those are going to be serving larger national or export markets. But all are mapped, and I should have mentioned that all of this data is actually downloadable from the website. So to get a list of those facilities or to get a list of all of the projects that are mapped, simply go to the area, the text above the map, and you'll see behind the scenes there's a link to the data download page, and you can download all of this information in Excel spreadsheets.
That's great to know. I didn't realize that. And I think that's, are there any other questions? If you do have other questions, please email me at chelsea@farmtoschool.org. And like I said, if you registered for the webinar, you will get an email when our resources are available online. If you want to know more about the Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food Compass, here's the information there. There's also a blog post from USDA Farm to School on our Farm to School Month website today, as well as their theme of the day content. So if you are looking for a little bit more, to hear a little bit more from them, I invite you to check that out. But most of all, thank you for joining us today on our webinar. And thank you very much, Hope and Eleanor, for your fantastic presentations. I appreciate it. And everyone have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.